I'm finding out that natural dyeing is really just based on opportunity, things that I've been finding on the floor and also around my home, kitchen scraps, that kind of thing. But also yesterday I was walking around Shimoki-Tozawa and I found the opportunity in a local flower shop where this huge pot of chrysanthemums was just 500 yen. And when I looked carefully, they are a little bit past their best, but there are still some buds on there. So I thought it was probably worth a go to try and get some colour out of these beautiful flowers. I'm using today is silk. This is Japanese kimono silk. I'm using quite a large piece because I want to make a scarf out of it later. I'm using some cotton, 100% cotton yarn, and this is an old bedsheet, 100% cotton. Some cotton gauze, double gauze material. This is from kimono string. I think it's, I don't know, I think it might be synthetic. I say this every time, but I like using it. It's always interesting. And also I have another small piece of kimono silk. They have been mordanted in alum, all of them, apart from this one. Now this one is this colour because it was used for an eco printing project in a previous video. And I just think it's not quite colourful enough, so I'm going to try and get a bit more colour on it. And we're going to see, it's just an experiment today to see what colour we can get out of these. I think I might like to do a test as well and see the difference between dried and fresh. So at a later date I might try the dried one as well, but let's just see how we go with these. So I've washed my chrysanthemums and just drained them off a little bit, but I'm just going to do a small batch today, so they're going to go in my small dye pot. If you haven't watched any natural dyeing videos before, there is a safety precaution here that you should only use utensils and pots that you're using solely for dyeing, because you know plants can have some kind of toxins in them, so we use chemicals. Even though a lot of them are natural chemicals, it's not safe to use your regular pots that you would use for cooking. So I don't get these mixed up because these are in my studio, so I will never use these for cooking. Okay, so I'm going to just, this is the material I have. I'm going to add some water. Oh, that's heavy. And I'm going to do my usual technique, which is bring it to a boil, then let it simmer for around 20 minutes, and then just put the lid on it and leave it for 24 hours. That is how I've been doing it, and it's working really well. So I've just brought this up to the boil, and it's been boiling for about 2 or 3 minutes, so I'm now going to put it down to a simmer and then we'll have a look at the colour. Okay, I'm going to leave it for about 20 minutes just simmering away, but already you can see the yellow. So pretty. Okay, sorry about the banging, they're still doing construction next door And this is going to continue till January, so always banging. I'm just checking it because I don't want it to boil down, so it's looking a little bit lower than it was, so I'm going to add a little drop of water, and then maybe that'll shock some of the colour out anyway. Okay, and then I have to turn it up again. But the colour's already quite beautiful, so I'm going to let that come to the boil again, and then it should be ready. So we did about 30 minutes, 40 minutes simmering, and I've been letting this sit for about 10 minutes, 15 minutes to let it cool down a little bit, because I want to strain the petals, I think, because I usually put my fibres on top of the dye materials, but I feel like it's going to be hard to wash them off this time because there's so many of them and they're really soft. But the colour is so pretty. It's a pretty yellow. So I think I'll strain it off and then I'll put my fibres in and see what happens. So I'm going to strain it, but I've just come up with a little bit of an ingenious idea with these drain nets that we use in Japan for our kitchen sinks. I don't know if you can get them anywhere else, but these are perfect for natural dyeing. So I'm now going to pour that in there and let's see what happens. So this is all strained now and everything is in here. It's amazing how well that worked. So I'm going to squeeze the rest of the chrysanthemum. It's so cool, it's much cooler now, it's not hot. Don't do this when it's just off the heat because it will just burn you. And I'm thinking, if this is not exhausted, this colour, that I might be able to dry it and use it for some echo printing as well. Who knows? Nevertheless, I'm so happy to have thought about using these. They're going to be reusable for many, many, many times. I'm going to put this back on the boil just to heat it up again, just for a little while, and then I'm going to soak my fibres. And then I'm going to come back after about 20 minutes and have a look and see if we've got any changes. Just making sure that there's full coverage. I would like more liquid in this normally, but I didn't make enough dye this time, so I'll just do a little sample test anyway. This is only after about 2 minutes and it's already quite yellow, so we'll see how it goes. This is all pre-mordanted, all this fabric, so we'll see. I might just top it up with a little water just in case it goes dry. The next time I would use more flowers, I think, to make a more intense dye, and I would leave it for longer to steep. Nevertheless, I can already see it's going to work, so I'm quite happy with that. Be back soon. I let this simmer for around 30 minutes, but the colour is it's okay. I would have liked a bit more intense than that. So I'm thinking, see, it's quite mild. I think I'll leave these in overnight and I'm going to put the material back in. So I've still got the material left from before, so I'm thinking to put this back in and let that soak overnight. Hopefully get more of an intense colour. So it's the next day and they've been soaking for a whole night. It's about 24 hours now. 24 hours. The colour's quite intense, I suppose. The colour's not quite what I wanted, but it is quite yellow. It will dry a lot lighter than this. I'm thinking that I might do some echo printing on top with these marigolds. Let's see. So I decided to leave it one more day just to see if I could get some more colour, and it's pretty nice. So I'm going to go off and rinse it, and then I'll see what colour we get. It's out of the dye pot and rinsed, and the colour's pretty nice. It's quite darkish yellow now. You can see the chrysanthemum colour anyway, it's quite pretty. This was the silk. It's a lot darker in in real life. And then there's the cotton yarn. Remember, these ones are mordanted and this one's not. The cotton, the vintage cotton. And this is the kimono string. This is the bed sheet. That's quite a nice colour. It's darker in real life than looks on the screen. The same silk as this one. So I'm happy with the colour as is, but I still think with the big one I want to do something a bit more with it. So I'm going to let these ones dry and put them in my dye diary. So they're done. So I have an idea for this one, is that I want to do some echo printing on it, and not bundle dyeing this time. I'm going to try some echo printing. I only have a couple of marigolds at the moment. The rest are in bud, so I'm waiting for them to blossom. But I think if I am strategic and take these apart, I can get quite a bit of colour on them, on the fabric. Also, from my deck garden, I've been letting it go a bit wild. I'd like to say it's by plan, but it's just by circumstance really. I just haven't had time. But these lovely ferns have grown naturally on there anyway, so I kind of feel like that was a bit of a winner. Don't know how easy they are to do natural dyeing with, eco printing with, but I'm going to give it a go anyway. So I found some plastic, like a thick plastic. It was a part of an old, you can probably see it's quite dirty, an old table cover that I use for crafting. But so it's seen better days, but now it's going to be relegated to my dyeing stuff. Alright, so how I'm going to do it is, it's really long. It's a bit longer than my fabric, so I'm going to put my fabric out. It's damp at the moment. As usual, there's a bit of weird transfer from other things, but I don't mind that. I'm going to put it along the plastic. The reason I'm doing this is so that when I roll it, I'll be able to transfer the pattern directly rather than it having bleed through the layers. So it's really quite a different look. Okay. And I quite like this yellow, so I don't want to lose this yellow. So I'm going to try and preserve some of it. And I'm going to think about my design as a whole. Right in front of me is this, it's about a metre, probably about a metre long. Now I'm strategically going to put my ferns, and this is too thick to roll, I think, so I'm going to cut these into smaller pieces. It's kind of like a twig at the bottom, so it's not soft. This bit might be okay, it's a bit more pliable. So I'm going to lay it all out, and then I'll show you in more detail. I'm putting the front and the back of different, because I want to test, is the front or the back more pigmented? So I'm putting these I'm just looking for a real, usually I'm looking for like really bright colours and massive, you know, sort of transfers, but I feel like I want to go quite subtle with this one. So let's see. Now I've only got a few marigolds, so I'm going to try to use them sparingly by cutting the end off and then separating them up like that. Use each petal. I might do kind of little, I feel like this side would, the top, I think would print better than the back. So I'm going to try that, just a few kind of, I'm not going to sort of dot it all over, I'm just going to kind of make a kind of walking pattern, I think, like here, and then I'll do some at the end as well, with varied sizes. So pretty, this colour, oh my gosh. To roll it quite tightly. This is why I have it all the way along like this, so that I can just roll as I go. Making sure to tuck as you go. Okay, I'm hoping that the ferns will work, because they're such a gorgeous shape. There's 3 varieties here, so ever hopeful. Right, let's do a bit more. And then I've just got these little tiny ones, so if I just sprinkle them over here, and try and do some layering over here as well. It's amazing how much I got out of just 2 flowers, isn't it? Right, so just going to stretch it. As it goes along, it kind of pulls, it kind of bunches up. So just unbunch it as you go. I think when you're cutting your plastic for this project, if you cut slightly longer than you need, then you've got a bit of wriggle room. Come on. Okay, so it's ready. Now I'm just going to bundle up the whole thing. I'm hoping that's going to work. As I say, it's all an experiment. So I'm going to tie this really tightly, and I'm actually going to use this that I dyed before and see if I can make any difference to the colour. This was a scrap piece that I'd used for bundle dyeing anyway, so it had lots of colours on it. So I'm going to fold this in half. It's a big experiment, this one. It really is. I have no idea if it's going to work. You know what? If it does, I'll be really happy. I realise how much happiness natural dyeing can bring me. Oh gosh, I love it. In fact, I just love learning new things. There we go. So you're just going to bundle this all the way around. The aim is that we want to make, there's lots of strings from the silk. We're trying to make contact with the plant materials and the silk. That's what we're aiming for. So I'm doing this really tightly. And it's really hot in Tokyo again, and it's the middle of October and we're still getting 27, 28 degrees C every day, and it's just too hot for this time of year. I'm ready to be collecting autumn leaves at the moment, and I'm still collecting flowers, so there's butterflies everywhere and bees, and what is going on? I don't know. So I'm just going to go round and round until I'm at the end of my string, and then I've got a piece that's sticking out, so use that as my anchor, and we're ready for the next stage. This time I've decided to do a boiling method for the echo printing, so we'll see which one works out best. I was quite happy with the steamed one, but I just want to see if this works any better. I just don't know. No idea. So I'm going to boil it in here for around an hour and see what happens. Is the plastic going to melt? I don't know. It's all a mystery. I'll check in a little while and see if anything's happened. So the pan has been boiling for an hour now, and you can see some of the dye has come out. Maybe that's from the marigolds, I don't know. We'll see. But I'm going to take it out and have a look. I can see some orange through there, but I'm not sure that's transfer or it's just, I can see the petals. But I'm going to take this out and leave it to cool down, and then we're going to see what actually happened. I'm really keeping my fingers crossed. This was a labour of love. So the bundle is now cool enough to handle. It's still a bit warm, but it's pretty cool. And if you've been around here before, you'll know I'm a little bit impatient when it comes to these dyeing processes. I just want to peep inside. So maybe I should leave it till tomorrow, but you know, I'm doing a little test to see if I can open it straight away, if it makes any difference. So I'm just going to open it up. It's still warm to the touch, but it's really not hot. So I'm just going to trim that and just start. This is truly the most exciting, but also can be the most disappointing part of natural dyeing, unfortunately, when things don't quite go to plan. But the way you have to look at it is, well, you learn something. Every time you do it, even if it's a quote-unquote failure, then you've learned something. Alright, so this is the little plastic bundle. The plastic didn't melt, it seems. Looks like it's survived to be used again, which is great. Still a little bit warm inside. And here we go. Yeah, it didn't melt. I honestly thought it would melt with hot water, but it didn't. Okay, here we go. Oh, I'm so nervous. I don't know why. Oh, there's colour. But it looks like the ferns haven't transferred anything. Only on the back. This is on the back. Never mind. If I was brave, I would pop this in an iron bath, but I just don't want it to go too sad. because when you put it in an iron bath the colours do sadden quite a lot. So well, I like how the marigolds have transferred, but it looks like the ferns haven't this time. But that's okay. Okay, if I'm lucky it'll just all stay there and I can remove it when it's dry. There we go. Well, it's really pretty though. You see the pattern I put on there? It's just to show me that, oh, that did print though. So now I know that this type of fern prints. So that's good news. Unfortunately, I only put one of those on there, so that's a bit of a shame. But next time I'm going to pick more of these so that they can transfer. I'm sure if I put this in an iron bath I would see more of the fern transfer, but I just feel too nervous. It's very pretty though. Anyway, so I think some of my paint has transferred off the... That's another little happy accident, has come off the paper. But all in all, it's difficult to know. Oh, there's another one. I found another one. Now it's drying a little bit, I can see. This one here has also transferred a little bit. So, all in all, pretty happy with that. And now I'm wondering if I could actually use the marigold leaves again, or are they exhausted? I don't know. So I'm going to give this a little rinse and then I'm going to hang it up to dry, and then I will be back to show you the dried colour. So here's the final reveal. It's actually a lot more yellow than you can see on the camera because the light is catching the silk. There are a couple of areas where the fern actually worked quite well. There's another one there. Can you see it better if I put it down? Probably not. The light is really bleaching out. I'll probably take it in to a non-sunny place in a minute. But the marigolds worked like a charm. One thing I will say is where I did the folding, where I did the rolling, you can see it's kind of, they're very nice, but it was a bit unexpected. I thought it would be blobs instead of kind of lines. I think why that happened was because I didn't steam it this time. I think if I'd have steamed it, it would have been a more strong blob rather than have these lines in it where I roll the plastic. But I actually quite like it. I always like the unexpected anyway, so I think this is going to be part of one of my other projects to make a scarf, and I'm really pleased with how it worked out, so yay! Thanks so much for watching today. I hope you found that interesting. Next time I might give it a go to do some echo printing with these beautiful flowers, because let's face it, I'm going to have hundreds of them. My plan is now to dry the rest of the flowers so that I have some colour to work with over the winter months. There's not much blossoming in Japan over the winter, so I'm hoping to still be able to do some dye projects in the studio. It would mean so much if you could subscribe to my channel It really helps keep me motivated to make more videos. See you next time.